Hey everybody, Davey Stallo coming at you once again on another Freefall. And today is going to be a Freefall Thursday instead of Freefall Wednesday. Yeah, this should have went up Wednesday morning, but I got doing other things and just didn't feel like doing one. So anyway, better late than never. So today we're going to be doing my top 10 prog rock bands. And it's prog rock. Now I'm going to say that some of these people are going to look at some of these bands and say, well, Davies, that's not prog rock, that's prog metal, or they're not proggy enough, or they're too prog, or of course there's such thing as too proggy. But to me, you can argue all you want, but to me these are prog bands, progressive bands. So, and these are they're not in a certain order. So my number one does not necessarily mean it's my number one band. Number two is not going to be my number two. It's just the how I put them down, wrote them down on the paper here. So anyway, before we start, please, oh please, give me a Christmas present and subscribe to my channel, like the video, hit the notification bell, and little bow on top. Add a comment down below, down below the video, right, probably over this area right here. Let me know what your top 10 progressive rock bands are. And speaking of progressive metal bands, I probably maybe next month I'm going to be doing one on that. There are quite a few prog metal bands that I really like. So yeah. But anyway, please leave your top 10, or actually I've screwed up. This is going to be top 15. Top 15. I was going to do a top 10, but there are a lot more bands that I like. I was going to do an honorable mention, but I thought, no, let's do top 15. And I thought, well, if I do that, I'm going to do a top 20. No. There are a lot of bands that, progressive bands that I do like. I could have done more, but I really didn't feel like doing a very long video. The thing is, the longer video, the longer it takes to download. Depends on your service provider. My service provider is a lot better than the one I had before, but it still takes a long time. If I do an hour video, it takes anywhere hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to upload it. Yeah, not download, upload it. So I'll get my words right one of these days. So, but anyway, let's get into it here. So we're not here all night. Uploading, uploading and downloading, sideways and whatever. Okay, my first band, not necessarily mean it's number one, though they are up there in my number one category. Little band from Canada that started out in 1968, and of course got known from 1974 on. Of course, I'm talking about the Mighty Rush. I'll be using props too. Not I just grabbed some props or prop albums. So that just, of course, if you watch my Rush ranking albums of Rush on Rocky Mountain Rankings, You'll note that this is my number one. Yes. I do love this album. In fact, I've been listening to this album in my truck lately on the way to work and home from work. So, yeah. What can I say about Rush? I mean, they're fantastic. They're fantastic. I'm not going to say were. They are fantastic. They always will be fantastic. Geddy, Alex, Neil. We'll never forget Neil. I mean, they did so much. They made so much great music. I mean, if you're not a Rush fan and you're watching this, they've got so much to offer in their discography. I mean, go to YouTube Music, check them out, or even just YouTube. But check them out. You'll love it. Even if you don't end up loving them, at least you give it a chance. But they've got so much to offer. I mean, and they so many great albums. Three great guys. Level-headed, crazy, but it's a different world without them. Without knowing that they're probably never going to put another album out. So, but anyway, so give it up to Rush. Next band. This band I was on my very first video that I did. Discovered these guys one night. I think it's probably about 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. Came across this live concert from Waken Outdoor. And I thought, this sounds interesting. So I gave it a shot. And, I mean, right from the beginning, they grabbed me by the collar and pulled me in. And said, well, I'm going to watch a few songs. Watch those. So, okay, I'll watch a few more. Watch those. When it was all said and done, it was 1:30 in the morning, and I'd watched the entire concert. I couldn't stop watching this band. I mean, they were awesome. And of course, I'm talking about Nightwish. Fantastic group. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, all their albums are fantastic. If you watch the ranking of the albums I did on Nightwish, some resonated more than others with me. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the ones that didn't. I love all of the Nightwish albums. In fact, I had a comment from somebody on here that how they ranked them. Of course, all their number one was with Tara, the original vocalist. To them, everything that came after is, well, I can't remember how they put it, but it wasn't very, they didn't love it. I'm sorry, but I love all the Nightwish. Floor Freelanson, she's marvelous. I mean, yeah, she's not Tara, but she's just, she's got both Tara and Annette's vocal range as far as I'm concerned. She can do both. Their songs, all their songs, just good. So yeah, check them out. Like I said, I couldn't stop watching that night, and I went out and a few days later and got all their albums. Nightwish, fantastic band. Number 3, band that started out in the early to mid 60s. Um, Still, well, they were, I don't know about now. They just lost another band member to Father Time. But another fantastic band. I mean, and a band that created the best, the greatest album, as far as I'm concerned, ever made. And of course, I'm talking about the Moody Blues. And this album right here, as far as you can argue that one of the other was better. They're all good albums. I love all of Moody's albums. In fact, I did another ranking of these just recently. This album right here is just wonderful. I mean, the only slightly weak point is peak hour, but overall, solid music, wonderfully made. I mean, combining orchestration and rock, it was just masterfully done. Excuse me. I never get sick and tired of listening to this album. I never get sick of this. I mean, they were supposed to do something else. They decided, I think they made the right decision to go with their own stuff. But anyway, Moody Blues. Okay. Next up. I think, I just did this. I think. I did Pink Floyd. I can't remember if I did Pink Floyd. Yeah, Pink Floyd. I let the cat out of the bag. Another fantastic group, started in the mid 60s. I mean, if you want progressive, this is it. Of course, the Moody Blues, they're not, it can be argued they're really not progressive. They are progressive. Nightwish. Some people might argue that they're progressive metal. Progressive metal, I think they're progressive rock more. So with Rush, but this is progressive metal at its finest. I just wish they were still putting out music. I mean, a lot of things combined to kind of stagger the Pink Floyd juggernaut back in the early 80s. Their bass player, Roger Waters, Roger can write some tunes, but he just, as far as I'm concerned, too locked into his own political agenda. I mean, people can argue, say, well, a lot of rock music is based in politics, political awareness, political this, political that, but you got to take a break from it once in a while. Roger, whatever he puts out, it's got a political agenda. So, I know Dave Gilmour, he, does the same thing, but it's not mired like Rogers is. So, that's my take on it. Roger needs to lighten up. I think if he would have lightened up a long time ago, a reunion would have happened long before Live 8. And who knows? They might have gotten back together and made a lot more music. I know Rick Wright wanted to make more Pink Floyd music. Unfortunately, he never. The only chance he got was with David Gilmour's solo band, but it's just too bad. So anyway, moving right along. Next one, another band that started out in the mid late '60s. Gone through a lot of lineup change. Band members have come and gone. Different sounds in the '80s, '90s. Most recently, the most recent album hasn't got a lot of love, or the previous two didn't get a lot of love. But anyway, fantastic band. Mighty Yes. More music, more progressive rock at its finest. I remember when I first got into Yes, I was looking through the albums at the record store. I think it was Musicland. It might have been Fred Meyer. Can't remember for sure. But I came across Yes Songs, the three albums, or three vinyl disc album. And wow, I was kept captivated by the cover. I'm like, wow, what is this? So I took a chance and I bought Yes Songs. And it was, at first, it just was a shock. I'd be like, wow, what is this? I mean, I'd never heard music like this. And at first, I really didn't know whether I liked it or not. But I gave it more chance, and then I think my next one was the Yes album. More strange music. But I still liked it. It grew on me. Of course, I ultimately got all their albums. The only one I don't have right now is the new one. I want to get the new one. I was going to get the new one, but Christmas is happening, and other things is beyond my control, like bills. You have to pay your bills. Pay your bills first. Then you can have fun, but a lot of people don't do that. But anyway, Yes. Whether you like one of their earlier stuff and hate their later stuff, or vice versa, it's all good. It's all good music. People say, well, the '80s stuff is more poppy. Yeah, but it still had the progressive edge in it, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, Yes, check it out. Say yes to yes. Yes. Just sit there and say yes to yes. 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 I will go at it. Davies, I promise I will go out and get yes. I also get all the other ones that come before and after this. Okay. Next up. Another band that I got turned on to right after I got into the band that did it for me, got me into rock fully, Kiss. Of course, this one is totally on the other end of the spectrum, you could say, from Kiss. But proggy, rock and roll, yes. ELO. Also the album that did it for me. I saw that. A lot of people have said that, like Pete Pardo on Sea of Tranquility, he said he saw that spaceship and he just had to have this album. And I just had to have that album. Of course, I first got this on vinyl. I remember taking this when I was in high school, taking the class. Because our teacher said, well, bring some music to listen to. And I played that, and it was my math teacher, Mr. Wise. Uh, After class, he said, David, come here. I go, yeah? Who was that? I go, it was Electric Light Orchestra. He goes, I think I made a convert that day. But anyway, fantastic, marvelous band. I mean, so much music. Jeff Lynne, you know, he knows his music. He knows how to write music. But check him out. Whether you like the earlier stuff over the later stuff, or vice versa, you know, check it out. Okay, onward we go here. Now this one, next one, I got hooked onto in the late 70s, I believe. No, it's actually take that back. It was early 80s. I'd heard their music before, and I liked it, but I really, you know, it was in that time of my life when I was a teenager, you know, and I was in a Kiss, and all this other stuff was happening, parties and girls and cars and stuff. But when this album that I'm going to show you came out, it's what dragged me into it. Talking about the Alan Parsons Project, and also Alan Parsons, his solo stuff. I heard this, especially the intro, Cirrus and Eye in the Sky. Been a fan ever since. I mean, and even his solo stuff. I mean, it's still Alan Parsons. It may not have project on the end of it, but it still is. Eric Wolfson, the other member of the project. I mean, marvelous singer, could write tunes, both of them. But I believe he's going to retire. He just put out another album, another solo album, but I think he's going to retire after this. And what's really funny is he didn't tour until, I believe, the late 90s. He didn't start touring, the band didn't start touring until late 90s. And of course, this is after the project was over, and he was doing his solo stuff. But he's still doing songs from his earlier stuff. I only seen him once in live, and it was a fantastic concert. I mean, but if you haven't heard Alan Parsons, check him out. You'll be glad you did. Okay, the next one. Now this band, I only got into recently. I knew who they were. Back when I was younger, I wasn't a big fan, you know. But as you get older, you gain appreciation for other music that you may have heard or may have known about earlier, but you really didn't want to, you know, couldn't find the time to appreciate it. A lot of people don't like this band, but a lot of people do. Of course, I'm talking about King Crimson. Ah! I mean, this album right here, this is their very first album. I mean, it's just, aside from 21st Century Schizoid Man, which is heavy, the rest is pretty mellow. If you want to kick back, you know, listen to something, you know, something heavy, then flow, you know, and kick back and just relax. You know, this is the album to deal with. Their later stuff, I mean, Wake Up Poseidon, Islands, you know, Lark's Tongue and Aspic, strange stuff, but excuse me. Don't eat chocolate chip cookies before you do a video. I did. I think I ate too many. But anyway, I mean, even their later stuff is just got so much variety. Some of it's strange, some of it's out there, but at the same time, it's just great. I've learned. It's just like, well, I put it out. Life is like a fine wine. The longer you live, the more you appreciate things. And I really am. There's other bands that, well, I did bands I used to love, but now don't. Uh, very few of those, though I do like some of their, songs and albums here and there. But some bands have worn out the welcome with me. Uh, but others, they just you, you you listen to them, and then but they're there. You just love them. It's like they can do no wrong. But anyway, King Crimson, give them a chance. They're a great band out there, and the thing is, you don't have to like all their stuff. All these bands, you don't have to like every single album. You can go out and say, okay, I like this album. Well, I like this album and the next one, but I really don't care about the two after that. But I like the fifth one after that, and Red, but I don't like Beat. Don't sit there and say, well, I heard that one King Crimson song and I didn't like it, so I'm not listening to anything else. Give it a chance. That's what this channel is about. Let people know about these bands. Give them a opinion. Give them a try. That's all I'm asking. Just give them a try. Okay, this next one is connected with King Crimson because it started out the year after King Crimson started, and has the lead singer for King Crimson as the lead singer of this band. Another progressive band, heavily progressive, different at the time because you gotta realize that the 60s and 70s and 80s, the guitar was the main aspect of a lot of bands, especially the 60s and 70s. Here, the keyboards and the drums and the vocals are the main thing. Very little guitar. And what guitar there is, it's mostly acoustic. The rest of it's bass. Of course, I'm talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Very first album. I mean, I'd heard Emerson, Lake and Palmer even before I realized who they were. I just never realized it until later on when I started getting into them. I'd heard the song "Lucky Man" off this album. I'm like, wow, it's amazing what you hear, but then you don't realize who they are until later on. It's just, but great trio, like Rush. They knew their stuff. It's just too bad that there was a little bit of infighting, and people were going off under other planes of existence, and like Keith Emerson, he went on this orchestral crusade. That's what his words. That's what he said. He called it orchestral crusade. So it kind of, I believe, turned off Carl Palmer and Greg Lake, and then they put out an album called Love Beach, which is okay. It could have been better, but they could have had a better cover on it. I don't have that one yet. Someday. Uh, I, I've got everything up to Brain Cell Surgery. Oh no, I take that back. I've got Black Moon, which is a decent album. It's not their best, but it was a good, as far as I'm concerned, it was a good comeback album. It's just too bad we lost both Keith and Greg. Poor Carl, he's the only one left. He's still going strong. So keep going, Carl. We love you. Love you, Greg. Love you, Keith. You guys were fantastic. Just times were cut short, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, check them out. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Okay, this next band I just did this past weekend, or this past Monday. Sorry, on my Rocky Mountain rankings. Of course, if you watch that, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Genesis. Love their stuff up to Duke. Like I said on Rocky Mountain rankings, Duke, and then there were 3. I just recently listened to more. Good stuff. Not quite clicking fully on those 2 albums, but as I found just recently with another group called Green Lung. Of course, Green Lung I loved right off the bat, but the more I hear their album Black Harvest, the more I love them. I can hardly wait to get the album before the can't remember what it's called, but that and their EP. I mean, fantastic band, but here I wasn't into Genesis. I'd only heard the earlier Phil Collins stuff, not early, but early 80s onward. I only knew that stuff. I had a friend that said, well, you need to try out Peter Gabriel stuff. When he said Peter Gabriel, I just pictured his solo albums and stuff, which are okay, which are great. I just haven't really listened to many of his solo albums. But I decided, well, I'm going to check him out on YouTube, and I'm glad I did. After I checked out some of the albums, I went out and bought everything up to Wind and Wuthering. So I do plan on getting then there were 3 and Duke. Everything out after that, Abacab and so on forward, I really don't care for. I've listened to them, but hey, it could change. It could change. But anyway, Genesis, fantastic group, especially there, with Peter Gabriel and all, Phil Collins on drums, and check them out. Okay. Number 11, though it's not ranked number 11, another band that grabbed me from right off the bat. I'd heard it before a couple of years ago, and just this past spring, was it past spring? No, it's late last year. Yeah, late last year. I listened to them again, and I was laying on the couch, put one of their albums on, and right from the get-go, that Visible Hag came out, grabbed me by the collar, and dragged me in. Been a fan every time. Finally got all their albums this past spring. But yeah, Arion. Of course, when I say group, I could say one guy plus whoever he's got playing on the album. This is the last one I got, and it took some doing to get this album. I ordered it, I think, 1st of January, and I never received it. Paid $50. So I went back on to Amazon. They had a couple left, but they were like $100. I said, no, I'll wait. I'm glad I did because later on it went back down to 50. And the second time was a charm. This is a fantastic album. They're all fantastic. In fact, I'm probably next month I'm going to do a ranking of Arion. But yeah, if you love science fiction stories, or just stories, concept albums and stuff like that, Prog, this is for you. What's the main guy? Arion Lukatson. He can write some stories. So, but definitely check it out. Take a few minutes of your time, check it out on YouTube. Okay. Next one, another band that I was introduced to by some friends and the radio. Not necessarily in that order. But I've loved them ever since. I haven't got their most recent stuff. I've got everything up to Year of the Black Rainbow. Of course, I'm talking about Coheed and Cambria. Like Arion, story-based, concept-based, of course, prog-based. I've got everything up to, like I said, Year of the Black Rainbow. And that album didn't get a lot of love from anybody. From a lot of people. They said the production wasn't particularly good. I think that was the main sticky point, that the production wasn't very good. And it wasn't. It's kind of different, but it's still good. I plan on getting everything after that. The Afterman, Ascension, and Dissension, or whatever. They did do one album though that was not part of the series. The Amory Wars, I think that's what it's called. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but if you're a Coheed Cambria, you know what I'm fan, you know what I'm talking about. But even if you're not into the basis, what this is based on, good songs, solid albums. I mean, Claudio Sanchez, he knows how to write stuff. So, but anyway, Coheed and Cambria, check it out. Well, yeah, the very first song, before I get off this, the very first song I heard was Welcome Home on the radio. Grabbed me right off the bat. So, wow, heavy song. And it is. Okay, next album. Or next group. Yeah, next album. Next group. Groupies. Another band that I'd heard in the early 70s, but I didn't know who it was. Of course, I was in my early teens. Wasn't very much into music, I was more into bands like ABBA, C.W. McCall, John Denver, stuff like that. Albums I still got somewhere. But it was 1979. A friend of mine said, hey, you want to go see a concert? I go, sure. So we went and seen it, me and two of my friends, at the D Event Center in Ogden at Weber State. I'd heard the name, and I think, of course, I'd heard one of the main songs, Locomotive Breath and Aqualung. I knew what they were about this time, but that's all I knew about them. But of course, Jethro Tull. Very first concert, like I said, I went to, and it was a great concert. Ian Anderson, what a showman. Um, got all the got all their albums, all their CDs. In fact, I think from what I hear, they've got a new one coming out. Though I think Ian's the only original member left that's going to be on this album. Prior to their last album, they only had Ian and Martin Barre, who plays guitar on the I think it was jtall.com, which I love. A lot of people don't like that, but I love that album. And of course, Martin's not going to, as far as I know, is not going to be on this new Tall album, which kind of sucks. But I think they've had a falling out. I'm not entirely sure, but I kind of hope I'm wrong. I see those two have a falling out. But anyway, I can hardly wait for that. So anyway, Jethro Tull. And lastly, but not leastly, band that I've been into the last, maybe 6-7 years. Friend of mine gave me an album of theirs. I heard it, and I really didn't understand it at the time. I think it was like early 2000 or late 90s when he gave it to me. I listened to it, and it was okay, but it just didn't take right then. It wasn't until later I decided to check out this discography on YouTube. I started listening to more. I really fell in love with these guys. Fantastic band. Dream Theater. This is their latest album. Fantastic, It's this one. If I were to rank this one over the last one, I'd probably put the previous one on at number one. This number two. Distance Over Time. I believe that's the one before this. I think it's a little bit heavier, but with anything, as time goes on, I could say one day, a couple months from now, so I like this better than the other one, Time Over Distance, or Distance Over Time, or Sideways, or whatever. Of course, I really haven't listened to either album very much. I've listened to the other one, Distance Over Time, more than this one. But still, fantastic albums, fantastic band. I think with a lot of fans, though, when they did their big concept album, The Astonishing, I think they lost a lot of fans with that one because it was ambitious. It was a freaking ambitious album. I mean, like 34 songs. I mean, it was. I think they bit off a little too much right there. But I've talked to people who heard that album, they don't like it. I've talked to people who love that album. Me personally, it's good. It's got some good songs. It's just one of those albums I have to be in the mood to listen to. But I'm not going to say I hate it. I don't. Of course, everything that came before that, I love totally. In fact, somewhere down the road, I'll be doing rankings of Dream Theater on Rocky Mountain Rankings. But anyway, a lot of people love them, a lot of people don't. And another sticky point with a lot of fans was when Portnoy left, Mike Portnoy, and was replaced by Mangini. I said, well, Mangini, he doesn't hold a candle to Portnoy, or I'm sorry, Mangini is a fantastic drummer. Of course, he's not Mike Portnoy. Mike Portnoy is Mike Portnoy. Mike Mangini is his own drummer. I mean, he has his own style. I mean, and he does a fantastic job. So, but anyway, don't get me wrong. I like Mike Portnoy just as much as everybody else. It's just when you get that one band member who thinks, well, okay, I'm just going to throw the switch and turn everything off, and when I throw the switch back to on, we'll continue on. It's ridiculous to think the other band members are going to say, okay, sure, just throw the switch and we'll just wait for you. He found that out. That doesn't work. Same with Dennis DeYoung, the Styx. He got light sensitive. He couldn't go out on stage. And he expected the rest of the band members to just put their lives on hold. And they wanted to go out and rock. They wanted they put out an album and they wanted to support it. And he didn't want to. And, Pete Parlow did a interview with Dennis. And I listened to it, and Dennis was saying, well, he's not bitter or, holding a grudge. But I'm sorry, the more I listened to the interview, the more I got that he wanted to throttle somebody. He really wanted to slap Tommy and James upside the head. And he just came out as a negative person in that interview. I'm like, Dennis, you put out a good album recently, but why do you have to be? I mean, they didn't decide one day, well, let's just toss Dennis out. You decided that you didn't want to go out on tour and play, concerts, and you just expect everybody to bow down to you. That's, a lot of band, Roger Waters did the same thing. He thought once he left Pink Floyd, there was no more Pink Floyd. Well, he found out differently. I could, go on to other bands, but, I'm not going to. But anyway, there you have it. A little recap. Dream Theater, my top 15. This is my top 15 prog bands. Jethro Tull, Coheed and Cambria, Arion, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, King Crimson, Alan Parsons Project, Alan Parsons, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, Yes, Pink Floyd, Moody Blues, Nightwish, and Rush. There you have it. Top 15. Like I said, I could have probably done a top 50. But a lot of the bands that I love, I don't have physical copies. Actually, I screwed up. There is one more band. That was only 14. You're probably going, Davies, that's only 14. You're right. I missed one because I forgot to bring a prop down. Duh. Kansas. That band from Kansas. How could I forget Kansas? Oh. Guys from Kansas, hear that, see this? I am so sorry. All you fans of Kansas, I am so sorry. If I'd bought a prop album down like I should have last night, I would have remembered. If I would have remembered to look at my notes. But anyway, Kansas. That little I believe they were from Topeka. Started out in the early 70s. And they were actually the band that we come to love was made by two bands, Kansas 2. Kansas that we know is Kansas 3. And White Clover. They combined to create the Kansas that we know and love today. They're still going strong. Only 2 original members left in the band, Rich Williams and Phil Earhart. I can't think today. I can't think tonight. People retired. In fact, they lost Robbie Steinhardt just recently. It's too bad. But check them out. I mean, the recent album is fantastic. I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of Kansas fans that say, well, without the original singer, why can't I think of his name? I hate when I do that. Get a brain freeze. Kind of embarrassing when you know these people, these bands, and you go to speak their name and you can't think of their name. I can think of all the other members. Kerry Livgren, Dave Hope. You think of Steve Walsh. Why didn't I think of Joe Walsh? His non-brother. Why does that happen? Am I getting that old? Am I really getting that old that I'm forgetting these names? My gosh. When the band that I fell in love with in the late 70s, along with ELO. I remember getting Point of No Return. And listening to that album, it just captivated by it. But another band that I've had, I got every album except their new one. Hopefully, I'll rectify that in the coming months. But you need that green stuff. I could go out. I could go out and get it right now, but I don't like to charge too much. Get yourself in that trouble that way. But anyway, Kansas. So there you have it. My top 15. I'm positive that's 15 right there. So anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said earlier, leave your list of your top 15 or 10 or 5 progressive albums, rock or progressive rock bands down below. I'd be interested in seeing that. Please subscribe. Give me a present or a Christmas present. I'd appreciate it. But anyway, if I don't see you before, I'll see you this next Monday with another Rocky Mountain rankings. And let's see. Oh, we'll be doing Electric Light Orchestra next Monday. So the mighty ELO, who I just did in the top 15. So anyway, next Monday, been wanting to do some movies, but we'll have to see on that one. Next Wednesday, hopefully. Yeah, bands I got into this year for the first time. Quite a few bands I got into this year, so that may probably be a long one. So anyway, this is going past what I was planning, almost an hour. So, but anyway, thanks for joining me. Have a great night, great day, wherever you're at. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Or if you're not at that, have a fantastic weekend coming up, and we'll see you later.